Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please, if you are new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment and share. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful fringe dress. And without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So the first thing you're going to go ahead to do is to make sure your fabric is on fold. Then you're going to divide the largest circumference of your body. In my case, it's my hips, which is 45 inches, divided by 4 plus 1.25. So you have to make sure you have up to what you have in total. So 45 divided by 4 is 11.75 plus 1.5 for my allowance, so I should have a total of about 13 inches. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead to mark 1 inch, which will serve as my starting point. Then I'm going to draw a straight line like so. So after drawing a straight line, I'm going to go ahead to take my measurement. So I'm going to take my shoulder to waist measurement. My shoulder to waist measurement is 17 inches. Okay, but because I need half of an inch to show up the shoulder part, so I'm going to mark 17.5 inches. Okay, so after marking 17.5 inches, I'm just going to go ahead to use my straight ruler to connect like so. So basically 17 inches plus half that we need to sew it up on the shoulder part, making 17.5. So for my waist to hips measurement is 9 inches plus half of an inch that we need to sew up the shoulder. So I'm going to go ahead to mark 9.5 inches and I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight line. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead to take the length of my dress. Okay, it depends on how long you want it to be. So I'll be using 40 inches for the length. Okay, so 40 inches plus half that we need on the upper part, which is for the to sew up the shoulder, plus 1 inch on the lower part to hem the lower part. So I'll be taking a total of 41.5. Okay, so 40 inches for the length, half to sew up the shoulder, and 1 for the hemming. That's 41.5. Okay, so I marked my shoulder divided by 2, so that's 17 divided by 2, so I marked 8.5. and I also came down by 1 inch from that shoulder line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to mark my standard neckline measurement, which is 3 inches. Okay, then I'm going to come down by 1 inch, okay, which is the standard neckline measurement for the back. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to connect that 1 inch I came down from on my shoulder line to my neckline. So after connecting it, I'm going to take my armhole measurement. For your armhole is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So in my case I have 8.5, so I marked 8.5, then drew a straight line. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to connect my shoulder line to my bust line. So after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to give my back neckline that curve. Okay, just to form my back neckline. So now I'm going to mark the midpoint of my armhole. So whatever you have there, you're going to come back by 3/4 of an inch. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to take my bust measurement divided by 4, that's 10 inches, 40 divided by 4. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect like so. So after connecting it, I'm going to take my waist measurement divided by 4 and my hips measurement divided by 4, okay, which is 11.75. So I'm just going to go ahead to mark 11.75. So whatever you have on your hips line, okay, you're going to subtract 2 from that part. So I have 11.75 minus, so that's 9.75. So I'm going to mark 9.75. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect like so. So after connecting it, I'm just going to take 1.5 allowance all through. So I just wanted to take 1.5, then I connected it. So now I'm just going to go ahead to form my front neckline. So I'm going to mark 4 inches from that armhole point I marked, from that my shoulder line. Then also mark the 4 inches here again. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead to use a straight ruler to connect like so. So after connecting, I'm going to determine how open I want the chest to be. So in my case, I'll be using 7.5 inches. So if you want it lower, you can go up to 8 inch. Okay, depends on your preference, but I'll be using 7.5 inches. So on this line, I'm going to come up by 4 inches. So I'll mark 4 inches, then I'll come inward by 1.5 inch. I'm trying to form my Queen Anne neckline. Then I'm going to go ahead to use my curve to connect like so. So basically this is how to make a Queen Anne neckline. So after doing this, I'm going to go ahead to take my allowance on the armhole. Okay, so after taking my allowance, I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. Please make sure you are cutting on the back neckline, not the front neckline, because we're still going to place it on top like so. So now I folded my fabric into two, then I marked 1.5 zip allowance. Then I went ahead to place the front piece directly on top of that 1.5 zip allowance. Mind you, we are cutting for the back now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is on the waistline, I'm going to go inward by 1 inch. Okay, because we don't want any bulges at that point. Then I'm going to connect like so. So on that waistline, you're going to come up by 4 inches. Okay, and also you're going to come downward by 4 inches. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead to connect to that 1 inch you came inward by, just like so. So this makes your clothes, your dress stay very flat at the back. So now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my back piece. Okay, so I'm using the front to cut out the back. So I'm just going to cut out that 1 inch we came back from. So now I'm just going to go ahead to separate the back from the front piece. Please make sure you notch the waist and hips for more accuracy. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to separate the back and the front piece. So I'm just going to go ahead to blend this point properly up to the neckline where it's supposed to start from. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to cut it out. So I'm just going to cut out my front neckline. So after cutting out my front neckline, I'm going to go ahead to cut it out on my lining. So this is me cutting it out on my lining. Please, on the lining, make sure you come up by at least 5 to 6 inches from the end point. Me, I came up by 3 inches, but I had to like trim it off later. So I would advise you come up by 5 to 6 inches on the hem line. Okay, so I'm just going to mark a straight line, which I'm going to be using to hem the lining. Okay, I'm going to be hemming the lining. So we'll be folding this, hemming that part. Also for the back, also you're going to come up by about 5 to 6 inches from the hem line, just like we did for the front. Okay, so I would advise you come up by 6 inches from the hem line. Then you're going to mark 1 inch, which you're going to be hemming for the lining, just for the lining. So moving on to the sleeve. Okay, I folded my fabric into 4 because I want to cut the right and left sleeve together. Okay, so make sure your fabric is folded into 4. Then the next thing you're going to do is to determine if your width is enough. For me, I use about 17 inches for my width. Okay, so you have to make sure you have more than enough before you start drafting. Okay, so now I'm just going to draw a straight line, which is going to serve as my starting point. So after drawing a straight line which is serve as my starting point, I'm going to go ahead to mark the length of my sleeve. So for me, I'll be using a total length of about 9 inches. Okay, 9 inches is okay for the length of your sleeve, and you can as well do 10 inches, but I'm using 9 inches, and I went ahead to mark a straight line. Okay, so after marking a straight line, I'm going to, at this point, this particular point, I'm going to mark 5 inches. Okay, mark 5 inches. Depending on how full you want it to be, you can mark 6, you can even mark 4. So mark 5 inches. Then I'm going to go ahead to come down by 4 inch, which is for my bicep. Basically, how to get that is your bust divided by 12 plus 1.5. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is take my armhole measurement on this point, which is basically your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, just like we did for the main dress. So I'm just going to go ahead to connect like so. Then I'm going to go ahead to mark the midpoint. Okay, so after marking the midpoint, I'm going to go ahead to curve it. I give it like sort of an S shape, okay, using your armhole curve, as you can see, just like so. So after giving it that shape, I'm just going to go ahead to take my allowance. So I'm taking 1 inch allowance. So I'm just going to connect it in a straight line, okay. Then I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. So I went ahead to add 1 inch extra because I felt like it was too short. So I would advise you to do 10 inches, but if you're good with 9 inches, you can just go ahead to use that. So I'm just going to go ahead to notch this point and also this point, okay. So after notching this point, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out the lining for the sleeve also, but I'll be using the same fabric for the lining, okay. So as you can see, I have 2 of this and 2 of this, basically 4, okay. So the next thing I went ahead to do is to iron the facing on the lining. So after ironing, I just went ahead to mark a straight 3 line, okay. Just mark 3 lines straight, because this is where our boning will be passing through, okay. This is where we'll be putting our boning, because we need the boning for this sleeve to stand. So I'm just going to go ahead to draw a straight line like so. So after drawing the straight line, I'm just going to go ahead to do my sewing tutorial. So the first thing now you have to do for the dress is to place the lining and the fabric together, then sew it up by 1/2 inch, just like so. Just you can go ahead to mark the curved edges, okay. So it's going to be a smooth one, okay. So you sew it up by 1/2 inch on this point, just like so. Then I'm going to go ahead to sew it up by 1/2 inch on the sides, okay. So you see it by 1/2 inch because we want to like turn it out. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So now I'm going to go ahead to do the same thing for the back. I'll place the lining and the main fabric together. So after placing them together, I'm just going to go ahead to sew up the zip part by 1/2 inch, also the side back by 1/2 inch, and also the neckline by 1/2 inch. I'll do the same for the other parts of my back, okay. So I've gone ahead to sew up the front and back. As you can see, you have to notch this corner where the edges are, then I'm going to turn it out, okay. Then I'm just going to go ahead to iron my front and back piece after turning it out. So after ironing it, this is what I have. As you can see, it looks much more better. So I'm just going to place the front and back together, and I'm going to go ahead to sew up the sides by 1 inches and sew up the neckline by 1/2 inch. Don't forget, I actually did 1.5 inch allowance, but because we already used 1/2 inch to turn it all out, so what we have left is just 1 inch. So I'm going to sew it up by 1 inch on both sides. And also for the zipper part, same thing. I'm going to go ahead to pin it down, then I'll go to go ahead to determine where I want my zip to get to. So it will stop about 25 inches. So from that 25 inches, I'm going to go ahead to sew it all down, okay. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to form that slant. So I'm just going up by 4 inches, okay, and you can go up by 5 inches. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect it like so. So I just went ahead, or you can also go up by 5 inches, but I will be using just that 4 inches. So whether you want it on the right or on the left depends on your preference. So I just went ahead to use a white chalk to make it much more visible. So come up by 4 or 5 inches on one of the sides, then you're going to go ahead to connect it asymmetrically like this, okay. So after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. So this is why I was telling you to make sure your lining is not as long as the main fabric, basically coming up by 5 inches, because we want it we don't want the lining showing, okay. So I went ahead to mark 1/2 inch, then I drew a straight line. Also I'm going to mark in 1/2 inch for the back also, and drawing a straight line, because this is where I'm going to be placing my fringe, okay. So after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to place my fringe. So basically, as you can see, basically face on face. So you place your fringe on that ½ inch I marked. Okay, so place your fringe all round. I'm just going to go ahead to do this off camera. Okay, so make sure you place your fringe all round, then you're going to go ahead to sew it up. Okay, so as you can see, I already went ahead to sew it up. So now you're going to fold it inward, just like I'm doing. So basically, you're turning it over. So yeah, basically as you're turning it over, you're also aiming it at the same time. So you fold it inward, just like what I'm doing. Fold it inward, then you're going to go ahead to pin it down. Fold it inward, and you're going to go ahead to pin it down. Fold it inward, then you're going to go ahead to pin it down. So after making sure you've properly pinned everything down, okay, you're just going to go ahead to secure it on the sewing machine. So this is what I have after pinning it down. Okay, so I went ahead to sew it up. Okay, so for the sleeve, I'm just going to go ahead to pass my boning inside the boning case I already made, because I used a bias to make this boning case. But if you have a boning that a machine can pass through, you can go ahead to use that. Okay, so now I already went ahead to put my boning inside the boning case. So this is what my lining looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to place the right side, which is basically the one in front that will be showing. I'm going to place it on my face on face. Then I'm just going to go ahead to sew it up by ½ inch or 0.25 inches. Okay, but make sure you are not going to sew up this upper part. Okay, so after doing that, I went ahead to turn it all out. Then I secured the upper part with the sewing machine. So as you can see, we have the center. Okay, then make sure this other two notched part is coming all the way to the center. Okay, just watch what I'm doing carefully. So properly place it up to the center points, then you're going to go ahead to pin it down. Okay, so you're going to do that for the second part also. Properly gather it from the side up to the side, which is the center. Okay, then you're just going to go ahead to pin it down. So after pinning it down, you're just going to go ahead to sew up the sides, okay, by maybe 0.75 inches. Okay, so make sure, see, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it looks very good, because this is what we're trying to get. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it over back to the other side. Then I'm going to sew it up by 0.5 inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to the second sleeve. Just like I said earlier, make sure the one at the side is coming up to the center. Okay, just like we did earlier. So I'm just trying to show you this so you don't get confused. Okay, so after making sure you've properly pinned it, you're going to go ahead to secure it on the sewing machine also. Then sew it up by 0.75 or 0.5 inches. So after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to attach my sleeve to my main dress. So I already went ahead to arrange my stones. Even here, I'm not done arranging the stones. So this arrangement, it all depends on your preference. It all depends on the shape you want. Okay, so I already went ahead to put the right sleeve. So now I'm going to show you how to put the sleeve. Make sure this center part is properly aligned with the joint part of the shoulder. Okay, then you're just going to go ahead to pin it down all around. Please make sure you're carefully doing this. And also the sides, joint sides, are also, as you can see, the joint part are also aligning like so. Joint part of the sleeve and the joint part of the dress. Then you're going to go ahead to pin it like so. Then after doing this, just make sure you properly pin it all around carefully. Okay, carefully. So as you can see, what I'm trying to do is to make it easy, I went ahead to turn it to the wrong side, basically turning the fabric to the wrong side, or the dress to the wrong side. Then I went ahead to pin it all round. So after pinning it all round, I'm just going to go ahead to sew it up by ½ inch all round. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead to sew up the sleeves by half of an inch, both sleeve. So this is what we have after sewing it off. Please guys, if you really enjoyed watching this video, please and please, I'm begging, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment and share. See you in the next one. Bye.